Welcome in, everyone. Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we are mastering a very specific but highly important document, the Shoemaker Property Management Application. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by the sheer amount of rental paperwork out there, well, this step-by-step explainer is designed exactly for you. We're going to break down this form logically and methodically, so you can just fill it out with total confidence and efficiency.
So, are you ready to secure your new home? Look, let's just face it, bureaucratic paperwork can be incredibly frustrating. It's often dense, kind of confusing, and one small missing detail can literally cost you the rental property you've set your heart on. But it absolutely doesn't have to be that way. Today, I'm promising you a brisk, error-free walkthrough of the Shoemaker application. By the time we finish this explainer, you're going to know exactly what information you need, where it goes, and how to navigate the whole submission process flawlessly.
All right, Section 1, before you start applied. Okay, so here's what you need to prep. Seriously, don't even sit down to fill this out until you have these two things physically right in front of you. First up, a proper state ID. Second, your proof of income. Now, Shoemaker's actually very specific about what they accept here. They want to see check stubs or bank statements. Gathering these mandatory documents first is absolutely crucial so your application doesn't get stalled at the starting line. Just having them ready makes the rest of the process a total breeze.
$40. Yep, $40. I really wanted to highlight this up front because it is a critical detail to prepare for. There is a non-negotiable application fee of $40, and that's required per adult. So if you're applying with a spouse, a partner, or a roommate, that means $40 for each of you. Factoring this into your initial planning is just a must before you submit a single thing.
Now, here's a massive pro tip for you. Before we get into the weeds of the form itself, I want to seamlessly weave in this crucial disclaimer. Property management, it's a very dynamic business. The application policies, the specific criteria you need to qualify, and certainly the available properties themselves are all subject to change. So always contact the management company directly to get the latest, most updated criteria before you invest your time and your money into applying. Moving on to Section 2, Personal Info and Essentials.
Okay, please don't forget the top lines. Right at the top of the page, sitting directly above that big personal information block, are two easily missed fields, the current date and the specific property you're applying for. You know, when property managers are reviewing massive stacks of applications, a missing property name can immediately send your form right into the confusion pile. Fill these easy, vital details out first to keep your applications safely on track. All right, now we get into the heavy information block. I like to use a simple what, why, and how approach to chunk this dense personal info section into 3 manageable steps. First, step 1 asks for your core details: name, social security number, age, birth date, plus your home and cell numbers and your email address. Next, step 2 asks exactly who will be living on the property. You'll need to list the number of adults, the children and their ages, and any pets, if the property allows them, of course. Finally, step 3 is all about your current situation: your present landlord's name and number, how long you've lived at your present street address, plus your current employer, their phone number, your time there, and your monthly income. Taking it just one step at a time like this keeps it incredibly organized.
Next up, Section 3, Adding Co-applicants and Roommates. Now, what's really interesting about this part of the process is how similar the requirements actually are. For the co-applicant, Shoemaker requires the exact same level of detail as the main applicant. I mean, they need their social security number, their employer and monthly income, and their present landlord's name and number. The requirements are practically identical for anyone else joining the lease, so you really have to make sure your roommate is just as prepared with their documentation as you are.
Which brings us to Section 4, Background, Vehicles, and References.
So right here, we have the background disclosures. This section asks 3 very direct yes or no questions. Have you ever been served an eviction notice? Have you ever been asked to vacate a property where you were renting? Have you willfully or intentionally refused to pay rent when due? And if you answer yes to that last one, there's actually a blank line where you must explain why. So the crucial point here is that honesty and context are key. If you've ever had previous rental hiccups, this is your opportunity to be upfront and explain the situation clearly on the record.
Immediately following that, it's just a simple 2-step data entry process. Step 1, you need to log up to 2 vehicles. They require the make and model, year, color, and tag number for each car you plan to park on the property. Step 2, you must list 3 references. You need to provide their name, their relationship to you, and their telephone number. These are the personal references required to vouch for your character, so, make sure you pick good ones. And then,
Stop at the stars. Seriously, at the very bottom of the page, you're going to see a big line of asterisks that says, for office use only. Do not fill anything out down there. But just between you and me, this is where Shoemaker does their behind-the-scenes verification. It's actually a fascinating look at what they evaluate. They use this area to log your previous landlord's verification, checking if your lease was fulfilled, if proper notice was given, if legal proceedings were ever filed, and if the residence was left clean. They even explicitly ask your past landlord, would you re-rent to this tenant again? It's a pretty great reminder of why keeping a good relationship with your current landlord is just so important.
All right, the final stretch, Section 5, submitting your application.
Okay, before you even think about sending this paperwork anywhere, there are 2 absolutely critical steps located right below the office address at the top. Step 1, the applicant's signature. Step 2, the co-applicant's signature. I really must emphasize that without both of these signatures, the entire form is completely invalid. A missing signature means a delayed application or even losing the property to someone else, so please double-check this before you submit.
And this brilliantly illustrates how accommodating Shoemaker actually is when it comes to getting the paperwork to them. You have 3 highly convenient options. You can fax it to 601-268-6024. You can email the digital copy to shoemakerproperty@comcast.net. Or if you prefer doing things face-to-face, you can drop it off in person at 219 Suite F, South 40th in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, zip code 39401. You get to choose the method that works best for your schedule. The whole shebang is up to you.
Before we wrap things up, I really want to hammer home our ultimate takeaway one more time. Quote, contact Shoemaker Management directly at 601-268-622 for today's available properties and exact qualifying criteria. End quote. Like we talked about earlier, you absolutely must call the management company to get the most updated criteria and property lists. Do not just assume yesterday's rules apply today. Make that call to guarantee you're fully informed. So I'm going to leave you with this final question. Is your checklist complete? And are you ready to hand over your application to get those keys? You now have a completely solid understanding of how this document is structured, what materials you need to gather beforehand, and exactly how to execute the submission. Take a breath, get your proof of income and ID ready, and go submit that application with total confidence. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I wish you the absolute best of luck with your new rental.